Hey everybody, this is Colton with POSGuys.com, and today we're going to be taking a look at the mC-Label3 from Star Micronics. This is a new product offering that they have, just hit the market, and it's a little bit of a unique product in their catalog in that in addition to doing the normal receipt printing that you've come to expect from a receipt printer, it also prints on linerless sticky media and die-cut labels, so it's truly a multi-function printer in that regard. Star released a printer a few years ago called the TSP 650 III SK, a little bit of a mouthful there. They did something a little bit similar. We actually made a video on it last year, and I'll link that in the description somewhere. But this printer's definitely made a few upgrades over that model. So I thought it was appropriate for us to spend just a little bit of time going over some of the big features, some of the big changes that have come to this line of printer. And sort of compare it to some of the other offerings on the market and kind of just show off what the printer can do, what makes it a little bit special. So with that, I'm going to zoom us on in here, get you a little close, and let's start taking a look at it. So first off, as noted before, all versions of this printer can print on regular receipt paper, like we have here, as well as linered and linerless sticky media that kind of have the adhesive on the back. As well as die-cut media, so these little labels here with the little gaps in the middle. And that's actually a pretty nice upgrade from the 650i SK, which wasn't really equipped to do die-cut media. And the reason for that is that in this printer it features a gap and black mark sensor. So the little black marks being these little guys on the back, just another way to differentiate labels. Because of those, they're able to automatically detect the ends of different labels and knowing when it ends. Otherwise, sometimes the Autocutter will kind of just do its own thing and they'll cut labels in the middle, and you'd have to develop software to be really, really specific if you wanted to try to kind of make it work. Another thing that's sort of unique about this printer, and we'll open up more label options, is that it has a kind of spring-loaded adjustable media hanger. And I'll try to get some good footage of this, but I'll probably end up throwing some B-roll up so that you can get a better look. And this is going to make using the printer with different label sizes way easier than just about any other printer on the market like it. It's going to open you up to, just a way better user experience. Its predecessors and just about every other hybrid printer on the market uses like a little plastic spacer, and I'll try to throw some photos on here that kind of snap on and kind of give you some rigid sizes. The 650 did this, and just about any other label printer or hybrid receipt printer on the market kind of does the same thing, and usually that limits you to certain width of media. So generally it's like 3.1 inches or 80 millimeters, 2.2 inches wide or 58 millimeters, and then some do 40 down to 40 millimeters, which is about 1.5 inches. Using this kind of mechanism, you're going to be able to get all the way down to 1 inch, and then be able to do just about everything in between. So all of these kind of are just easily snapped on. All you need to do is push this little blue tab, click it in place, and then pull out the media, right? And then it's easy to change and load media. We'll go ahead and try it on this one, pull it all the way out to the end. And in this case, it should just kind of snap in. There you go. You see there's like these little white little tabs that kind of move up and down and kind of lock it into place. So just a big usability improvement there in that regard. So those two things really make this device, this printer rather, more of a label printer than just about any other hybrid printer on the market right now, which is saying quite a bit. Because usually the way that these things tend to pan out when a receipt printer manufacturer wants to make a hybrid printer is that they make a printer that's really good at printing receipts, and then it's kind of just meh about printing on labels. Like it'll do it, but you can tell it was kind of an afterthought. Or you have a label printer manufacturer that makes a printer that can kind of print receipts, but doesn't really do it well. And this printer sort of hits the sweet spot from a feature standpoint. The only thing I guess that sort of holds it back from being a true label printer is the lack of support for some more common label printing language emulation. So like ZPL is a really big one. Just about every label printer on the market worth its salt has that built in. So you'll have a hard time trying to drop this printer into an existing label printer setup. If you want to like replace your label printing station with this. But I get the feeling that Star wasn't really trying to do that with this printer in the first place. It's not really their space. So I can't really hold that against them, and I'm not gonna knock it down because of that. But speaking of printer emulation, of course you're gonna get all the standard receipt printer emulations, but it's also going to have support for Star's Cloud Print, so that if you're writing a software that supports something like the TSP-104 or the MC Print line of printers, or if you're an ISV who has software that's already been integrated with Cloud Print, getting the MC label up and running is a fairly simple task, actually. It's pretty straightforward. So all of this is to say, don't expect to be able to print this, plug this printer in to wherever you're using a label printer, but it's an easier jump than a lot of receipt printers from like a support standpoint. So the other thing that's pretty cool about this printer is that Star has a little button on the front here that you can kind of print it different times, and it'll give you custom designs. I'm going to clear everything out, clear all the stuff out of the way, and get the printer plugged in to show that off, because I think that's another really cool feature in this. So I will be right back. Okay, so we are back. This guy is plugged in with the power cord here, and I've also just connected a Android device with a USB-C cable so that I can set things up with the Star quick setup utility. It's like the easiest way to show this stuff off. Generally, a lot of this would be controlled through your software, but it's a new printer and there's not a lot of support for that, so we're going to use the utility instead. So first time you plug it all in, you're going to get a little red flashing light here. Means we need to load some media up. So what we'll do is we'll start off with the die cut label media, because I imagine that's what a lot of people want to see. Getting it set up is pretty easy. You just gotta snap it in here, push the blue button to get it into place. We'll save some labels, pull it back a little bit. You plug it in there for the first time, kind of does a thing, and you'll notice that it cut halfway through the label. So that means the first time that you plug it in, you wanted to go ahead and get that calibrated. Pull up the app here, go to printer settings, do print media settings, and then you can pick the type of media that you have, so you can see a couple different options. We'll go to die cut label, press next. It's a gap, so we'll do a gap. Hit next again, and it walks you through how to do everything. Of course, you've already done it, so we'll go ahead and zoom through all that. Let it do its communication, and close the printer cover. Of course, it's already done that. And there you go. Now you'll see that it is printing on, not on the, or not cutting on the label is what I'm trying to say. Sorry, long day here today. So the printer is all set up and ready to go. We'll say yes, we'll finish the setup. And now, if we go ahead and press this button, you can load up to 3 different templates using this button here. So if you press the button once, you'll get template 1. 2 button hits will get template number 2, and then 3 will get you the 3rd option. And you can control these through the setup utility, like I said. You can go here, and it'll load up all the different label options that you've had. While that's going ahead and doing its thing, I'll kind of show this off a little bit. So you'll see that I have like a little 50-cent token, a picture of a printer, and then our logo hit up there. So if I hit it one time, I'll get this little ticket, which I just made up a little graphic for like a 50 cents exchange or credit. If I hit it 2 times, it's going to print out an image of a label printer. Probably should have did a receipt printer. Oh well. It is here and ready to go. And you'll see that it, even though it kind of spilled onto the 3rd label, there's kind of a cut. The images don't auto size, so you kind of need to do that yourself. If you're using the setup utility, of course, your software would handle this otherwise. And then, hit it 3 times, and we get our logo, POSGuys. It's super duper easy to kind of load this up. It's nice to have it on demand. It's certainly a unique way to go about that. And actually changing these logos is relatively easy. You can click here, and you can store different logo information. So if I wanted to do the POSGuys with the with our little tagline, hit apply, hit it one more time, and go ahead and let it do its thing. So now if I do 1, 2, 3, it prints off a large logo with our tagline. And of course, it's not super optimized, so it doesn't look very good. If we were doing a full-size receipt, it would obviously look way nicer. So that's essentially how it works. Really cool, sleek feature that they built in there. So that's a wrap up of the unique features that this printer brings to the table. Most of what I'm looking to cover in the second half is more performance and some print testing. I'll also talk a little bit about reliability at the end as well. So starting with the printing on this printer, it can print up to 7 inches per second, both for labels and receipts. That's pretty comparable to the 650 SK, and it's about 3 inches slower than the TSP-104, which is sort of Star's most current generation printer. But when you compare the print performance on this to other hybrid printers on the market, it's actually a little bit faster. Not by much, but even so at 7 inches per second, that's generally quick enough for most use cases. So, there's kind of a point of diminishing return at some point. What I do find really nice about this printer, however, is the platen roller here. I'll move these out of the way so we can get a better look. Now, to do linerless sticky printing, you kind of need a little bit of a special roller that is a little bit more resistant to the sort of sticky backings on some of these linerless media. Otherwise, if you were to put a linerless media in a normal printer, it would totally jam it up. So don't do that. I do think it's important to mention that these sticky printers are known for sort of running into cutter and platen roller issues over time. Just cutting on the plastic liners and having to constantly be running through the sticky residue does over time kind of gunk up the machinery a little bit, wears down the blade. The residual, will start to degrade. The components will start to degrade. What's really nice though is that Star has made these super easy to replace. So the cutter is super simple. You kind of just push 2 little blue buttons and it pops out, and you can sort of pop this little guy up here and remove the red the red roller here. And I'll throw some B-roll footage. It's really nice because sometimes getting these mechanisms replaced is a pain. You have to unscrew screws, and if you're a normal business owner without a ton of technical knowledge, it can be a little bit, nerve-wracking pulling apart your printer to fix something. So it's nice that Star kind of was forward thinking about that. So now I wanted to take just a moment to show off the back of the printer here and highlight all what's going on here. So I'll zoom in a little bit, and I'll probably throw a graphic at the bottom so it's a little bit easier to see what you're looking at here. But there are 4 part numbers in this printer. There is a model that has USB-C and Ethernet, a model that has the USB, Ethernet, and Bluetooth, a third that has all those interfaces plus Wi-Fi, and then finally there's a model that has all the interfaces, but the Bluetooth has MFI compatibility for iOS devices. So those are the 4 SKUs that make up the entire product line. And those are the only differences. So otherwise, the printer is the same between all of them, which is just super easy to keep track of. It's kind of nice. Usually with these hybrid printers, they make like 17 different part numbers, and it's just a mess for customers to figure out what they need. But you know what? Star's made it easy for us, thankfully. So thanks for that, Star. As noted before, all models have the Star's USB hub built in, so that you can communicate and charge devices directly with the USB. I showed that off a little bit earlier when I connected the device in, but you can also plug in a bunch of other things to those ports. So you can plug in a Star branded barcode scanner and kind of have the data routed directly through the printer to whatever device you're using. The caveat being that your software needs to support that functionality or else it doesn't go anywhere. So it won't automatically input as a keyboard like you might expect. So I will say that I was a little surprised that Star didn't take the step to develop their own scan-to-print application. I know that there is definitely a need and a demand in the market to be able to easily replicate barcodes. So if you had a barcode printed on one of these, you could just scan it and it would print out the label. Surprised they didn't do that. Maybe they kind of want to stay out of that territory. We've actually personally developed an application to do that. So if you want to learn more about that, feel free to reach out to us. Always looking to position our products there. It's really slick. I'll throw another link in the bottom if that's something you're interested in. Let's get back to the printer. Otherwise, Star's normal set of printer accessories will also work on this printer. So you'll have access to a 2-line display, a separate wireless LAN unit, so that if you bought a unit without the Wi-Fi and then wanted to do Wi-Fi later on, you could do that. There's also 2 different types of alarm buzzers that make different sounds when a print job is sent to the printer. So if you wanted to use this in like a kitchen, or just be notified of when there's a print job, it'll make a loud buzzing noise and just kind of helps your employees know their print job came through. But with that basically wraps up the printer. Again, I think it's a really good step in the direction for the industry. I think Star did a great job of building what I believe for the first time a true hybrid label receipt printer. It's really early on now, so there's not a ton of softwares that have integrated it. But I do definitely see more softwares down the line getting this hooked up and ready to go. If you give us a call, our info is on the screen now. A call or an email or however you prefer to communicate. We can tell you if it works with your software yet, and make some recommendations for some ways that you might be able to get this printer to work in your setup if you don't have direct integration. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you learned something about it. If you're interested in picking up the printer for yourself, again, give us a call. We're always here to help, kind of build out whatever you might need. With that, thank you so much, and I hope you have a great day. Take care.